Well, hello everybody. Welcome back once again to the Real World Prepper, broadcasting today from Area 53. In today's episode, I'm going to explain what Area 53 is. Many of you will already have a good guess. I'm going to talk about how I've had to relearn how to prep in some ways. So stick around. Thanks for your patience in me getting back to doing videos, and here we go. All right, ladies and gentlemen, like I said, thanks again. I know it's been over a week, almost 2 weeks, I think, since I've done a video. As many of you know, we had a move, we bought a house, etc., etc. Here we go. Area 53. All right, you guys know about Area 51, Roswell, New Mexico, right? You know, it's a undisclosed location with secrets and blah, 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 and all that kind of good stuff, or at least it was at one time. And some buddies of mine who are also preppers who have some land of their own have dubbed their property that they purchased a couple of years ago Area 52. And so they started kind of jokingly calling the property that we just purchased Area 53, and it just kind of stuck. So we're going to call it Area 53. So from now on, you know, no more shop like at the old location. We'll be doing from various locations here. I'll have an office set up inside soon enough, a little studio office. We'll be doing some videos from there, and we'll be doing some videos from right here on the deck of Area 53. So appreciate you guys joining us. Now, it's a beautiful area, beautiful new homestead of ours. I'm going to be very specific in what I do show you and what I do not show you of the place, per my own preferences, as well as my wife's insistence on being kind of private. So we're gonna maintain that. So what do I mean about having to relearn how to prep? Well, out here, if you guys have been paying attention to the channel, you know that my intention has been to get into some homesteading things, a little more self-sufficiency. And so I'm going to show you around a little bit about where and what I'm going to be doing some of these things. And the reason I say relearning is because in my previous location, I didn't have anywhere for animals. I didn't have anywhere for gardens. You know, I didn't have you know, a stocked pond and all this kind of stuff, you know, and so our preps were different. We stored up a bunch of stuff. We had talked about getting rain catchment systems and things like that, which we still may do out here as well. But well is the key word there. We've got a well, and we've also got a pond, and so, you know, we're going to adjust how we prep rather than just storing things, which we will continue to do in a lot of ways. But in a lot of ways we will adjust that to some degree. So at any rate, without any further ado, let me show you a few things. All right, ladies and gentlemen, right here, if you don't know what that is, that's the wellhead. There's a submersible pump in there. It's electric. It feeds the water to the house, also to this freeze-proof spigot right here. Now, I was told by a zombie farmer that if this thing was 6 inches wide, which it is not, it is 4.5, that they make, and if you have a wellhead that is 6 inches wide, they make these buckets that are 2.5 gallon buckets that you can just drop right down in there, you know, with a rope and pull it back up and pull your water. So what will be vitally important to me is other ways to get my water. Let me just step over here for a moment. So, it's going to be vitally important for me to get my water should the electricity go out, because right now I'm dependent on the electricity to be able to pull the water. So, I have a plan, a three-pronged plan. I plan on investing in a generator or generators, which I was going to be doing anyway. I do not have generators at this point. And so a generator, you know, a gas or diesel generator that can, you know, run that pump, pull water up from it. Secondly, I have been wanting to dabble in solar. I've talked about it a lot in other videos. Also something I've not gotten into yet. So I want to dabble in solar, and probably my first project will be a small solar system that will also drive that pump. And thirdly, and in addition to the generator and the solar, I want to come up with a siphon system so that I can literally run a hose down there and just crank some water out of it. Or I'm not sure how that's going to work. I'm going to look into that. We're going to figure that part out. Moving along. Okay, so moving along, this area right here, move this kiddie pool out of the way. It keeps getting blown around by the wind. So if you can see this area here, see the house over here, you see the back of the deck, and then goes down to the woods there, kind of a line here and along here and along this way, the back of the garage. Okay, this whole greater area here is going to be a garden. Now right now it is Thursday and it is about 4:45. Now I can tell you that this time of year, the sun beats down on this area from sun up, because east is that direction, west being that direction, and it stays sunny here till about 3:30 or so in the afternoon, closer to 4 actually. So there'll be a lot of good sun in this area, you know, for a garden. And then of course it, you know, during the summer when you have, you know, it doesn't get dark until 8 o'clock or a little better, you'll have the shade on it to cool everything down. We've got water, of course, from the well that is from a spigot right here, so we can water. And of course there's other means of watering if we, you know, whatever we got to get into, we're going to do it. Okay, so we talked about the well, we talked about planting a garden. I think a garden could go right here that would at least supplement. It may not fully feed 3 people, which is who live here, myself and Mrs. RWP and little RWP. I don't know yet. We've really never done this, you know, so we're going to find out. But that's the plan right here, garden. So moving on. All right, so we're moving down here into the very back of the property. And I don't know if it's coming into view for you, but there's a little clearing here, and it can be cleared out some more. All this little growth here where it's been mowed, and it can be cleared out a little more, and it will be. But down here in this little flat spot down here, and it does not flood. It's nice and firm, the ground. You know, it's at the back of the levee to a pond. It's right there, right up there, which we'll show you in a minute. But well, the property line actually goes back beyond these trees, but it's pretty thick back there. So here's a clearing. This area right here that you're looking at is going to be a pen for goats, probably some rabbit hutches. Believe it or not, the missus and the child want a miniature donkey. So I told them we can have a miniature donkey if that's what they want. So, and they do. So that's what we're going to do. Now, off in here, I don't know if you can see it or not, but there is wire fencing in here. There's a run probably 12 or 14 feet wide by at least 20 feet long. There's some more of the fencing there. Again, I don't know if you can see it in this video because it's all grown over. But I plan to come in here and cut down these couple of little small trees, saplings and whatnot, clear all this out, clear the limbs. We're going to build, we're going to put up some posts and build just a couple little frame pieces and wire this whole thing together, top and sides, so that we can put the chicken coop and a chicken run in there. We're going to raise chickens and eggs for, well, chickens for eggs and for meat. So the garden up on the other side, goats for milk and probably for meat, if need be anyway. Chickens for eggs and for meat. And, you know, again, we came from the burbs, guys, so, you know, we didn't get to do all this stuff back then. So this will all be new for me, and I hope to share some of this along the way with you guys. And it's going to be fun. I'm looking forward to it. Very excited. So, moving on. Okay, here's my pond. My kind of sad little pond right now. I call it a sad little pond because it's got a leak in it, and it won't go completely dry, but it's got a leak in it. It was up to right here after a torrential rain that we had about 2 weeks ago, and this is how much it's gone down in about 2 weeks. I'm going to say that's easily 3 feet that it's gone down. And this is about where it maintains. When we first looked at the place, it had been dry for a while, and this is about where the pond was. We had a couple of small rains. It'd fill up a little more, and then that torrential rain 2 weeks ago, and it filled up, I mean, extremely. So, luckily, I know a pond guy, and he lives relatively close to this piece of property. He's a family friend. So, we're going to get him out here, and this may be a late in the season or early next season project. We're stretched a little thin from all this, you know, getting settled and letting the dust settle and all that. But the plan is to make this pond, you know, up to a certain level and holding, and stock it. Now, it does have fish in it. I've seen fish in it. I don't know what's in it exactly. There's turtles, frogs. There's definitely snakes around here. Seen a couple of good guys, the king snakes. I think I killed one the other day, well, about 3 weeks ago, that when I was out here before we'd actually acquired the property or had signed the papers anyway. Walked in the basement, freaked me out, grabbed a shovel and chopped it, and anyway, so. But I come from an area with no snakes. These are things I've got to learn, so this is why I'm relearning prepping. I'm relearning prepping for the area in which I live now, and you know, the type of place that I live in now. So I think it's a beautiful spot. I think this pond is going to be awesome once we get it worked out. And so speaking of that basement, moving on, here's the basement. It's not much to it, and it's got some junk in here. It's small because the way the house is built, it's built on a hill, so it continues to go up. This is the lowest spot, and so of course the crawl space under the house is back this direction. You know, it goes all throughout the house. But the usable basement is here, and I can tell you it's about 90 degrees outside, and it is sitting on about 70 degrees Fahrenheit in here. Okay. So, you know, as you guys know, most of you, I'm sure, basements stay cooler. Some stores will go in here. It's kind of damp, so we'll be very selective about what we put in here, but just another good feature, something that we can use, something that I'm looking forward to using and utilizing. And so anyway, moving on. All right, hope you enjoyed that kind of quasi-tour. So, the point of this is to tell you that for us in this instance, we're going to have to relearn some aspects of prepping. We prepped in a suburb environment, which I imagine would be similar but not the same to a city environment. If you can't get into a place like this, get out in the country, spread out where you can, you know, have some animals, have a garden, do some things like that. I understand. I mean, this was 20 years in the making for us, honestly. So I'm thankful that we got to do it. I love this place, love this place. And I'm looking forward to doing all these things I spoke of. But let me just say this. Many of you guys already have a setup like this, even more so, I'm sure, you know. Have a whole lot more to work with and a whole lot more preps in terms of animals, food you can grow, you know, your own sources of water, etc., etc. And many of you do not. Many of you probably don't see in your foreseeable future the ability to put something like that together. So I would encourage you to take all these ideas, if you can't do this kind of thing, if you live in a city or in a suburb, and try to figure out ways to do what you can do. Small raised gardens, in the city, garden boxes in your windows. I mean, even just little things. Every little bit helps. If you can create a small pond or fishery or something where you can keep some, look here, there's something. You guys know what that is. Yeah, I don't even see it, but that's a tick. Let me kill this guy. So yeah, there's lots of ticks out here, but I'm going to 7 dust the crap out of this area. Squash them. But anyway, any little thing that you can do is going to help you. And certainly if you're going from one extreme to the other in terms of, your living situation, from the city or the suburbs to a country place, you're going to have to relearn some things. You're going to have to teach yourself new tricks. Old dogs can learn new tricks. I'm an old dog, and we've already learned some new tricks for out here. So we're on our own water. We have a septic system. We're only reliant on the power grid, and I plan on remedying that with, once I start dabbling with solar, I'm hoping to convert lots of other things to solar. And I'm not saying I'm going to run completely on solar, but I'd like to have it so that if the power does go down, we've got something to work with. Now, I'm no expert in any of this stuff. I'm merely a guy, the real-world prepper, trying to give you some real-world ideas. I will undoubtedly learn myself by trial and error. But we're preparing for all things, financial collapse, grid down by EMPs or nukes or even by nefarious hackers or, government entities elsewhere or, abroad or domestic that may shut things down. War, pandemics, which is a big threat, societal collapse of any kind, rogue governments without rule of law, apocalyptic situations, anything really, Every day it seems that we move closer and closer to these things, to the end of the world as we know it. And so that's why we've made these moves, all right? Honestly, that's why we've done it. It's why we're doing what we're doing, why we've moved out where we have, why we're putting together a plan, trying to get some things. I'm not saying it is the be-all, end-all plan because I know it's not. But anything that gives me an advantage and gives me another day, right, another meal, then that just pushes me along further. News reports yesterday, well really today, but this video will go up on Friday. But this morning there was news reports. One of my subscribers shared it with me. I had been largely unaware because I've been out of the news loop, but claimed that Iran shot down one of our U.S. drones over international waters. So, we're going to war. There's no doubt we're going to go to war, and it's inevitable. And this, along with many other things that are in play, are going to be the beginning of it all. What is going to end society as we know it. So pray, love, do all you can do, prepare, just be more like Jesus, and love your neighbors, love your friends, build a community, prepare. Do what you can to be as self-sustenance as you can, self-sustaining as you can. And listen, I thank you guys for being patient, coming back on the channel with me. Thanks for everybody who has subscribed and stuck with me. Thanks to Laurie K for all of your kind words and just everything you've done. Sorry for the phone, guys. This video won't upload, like I said, till tomorrow. I don't have internet out here yet. They have to run a new line out here. We're kind of a ways out, so there was a line here, but it's about 38 years old, so it's not getting any good signal on the home end of it. So we'll get things put together. But thanks for being here. This has been the Real World Prepper broadcasting from Area 53, and I look forward to seeing you guys very, very soon. Thanks so much.